in one sense, you have people who are very motivated to ask for the things that they want, who feel as though it's not rude to be quite direct and to ask the questions about the things that they want in their life.
Well, it's also where the saying "don't ask, don't get" comes from. Askers are happy to ask. It doesn't matter what the answer is. Like, it doesn't matter if it's no. Like, that's actually, I was an asker.
Yeah, and I'm a guesser.
I am absolutely a shoot your shot. No isn't the end of the world, and no doesn't feel bad. And it's always a no if you don't ask. Like, that is my motto. Shut up.
Hi, guys.
I'll keep the shut up in. I'm starting it. Hey, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Life Uncut. I'm Brittany.
I'm Laura.
Shut up. We've tried to do this so many times and we just keep telling each other to shut up.
Some days things roll really easy and we're ready. Content is prepped. I mean, to be fair, Keisha, the content is prepped.
No, we are.
We're just not ready.
We're not prepped internally. That's the problem. Sometimes you come in here. I'm going to blame, for me personally,
The early starts.
I wasn't going to blame that. But
Me.
yeah,
You probably blame me, wouldn't you?
I'm going to blame Laura. No, I'm going to blame my time in the month. It's only started happening in the last few years, or maybe even the last year. My periods have never affected my life, and they do now. Like, I feel like I get brain fog when I'm a couple of days before my period. I get so fatigued now. Like, I completely changed. A couple of years ago, wouldn't have even known.
Do you think it's because you're off the pill now?
Well, I've been off the pill for 4 years.
She's like, I can't remember.
Yes.
She's like, sorry, what?
That does make sense.
But no, everything changed off the pill 4 years ago, but I wasn't affected to this point. Like, my emotions and everything were. This is where I get brain fog and I can't find my words and stuff, and it's only that few days before my period. I do wonder if anyone else gets that. That's
That's a
interesting.
real problem when we work in an audio medium. I mean,
Hey,
also,
you get it every time you're pregnant and you're always pregnant. So don't you come for me. My 3 days a month.
my 3 years of my life back to back.
Since the day we started the podcast, you've been up the duff or breastfeeding.
I think I've been actually statistically 9, 18, 20. I'm just doing the maths. I've been
pregnant 3 times
statistically.
I've had 3 babies.
We've been doing the podcast for 6 years. I've almost been pregnant for the same amount of time that I haven't been pregnant. Because if you include, I mean, this is a bit grim, but if you include the miscarriages in there and the time that I was pregnant with those as well, it all equates to like
half.
That's a lot of pregnancy. That's a lot of pregnancy brain. Go me. I did well.
Yeah. Keisha and I also know that that's how long it's been.
You're like, when are you going to take a pay reduction? You're only ever working at half blast.
It is because you're like, oh, sorry guys, I can't think, my brain fog, and I'm like, yeah, we know, we got it.
Yeah. Do you know what though? This, and I think I've said this before. I'll say it again in case I'm repeating myself.
In case you don't know, my baby's standing up.
For anyone who's new to the podcast, I do keep repeating stories. I'm sorry about that. This has been the easiest pregnancy I've ever had. And I think when I got pregnant, knowing that I was like heading into my 40s, I assumed that this would be the worst. I assumed I'd have like the most pain, be the most uncomfortable, have the most reflux.
Be the most tired and run down.
Yeah,
and
all of those things. I feel great. Like, I mean, apart from like a bit of sciatica and a bit of reflux every so often, I'll complain about those things, but they're probably half as bad as last pregnancy.
Do you think it's just because your pregnancy is different?
Don't know.
Or do you think it's because now you know, like you have the expectations of what they are, that things just aren't as bad? Whereas when you go into your first pregnancy, you don't know how bad you're going to feel. But now you get it. So you're like, oh, not so bad.
I definitely think the first time round, you're a bit more like, what's that feeling? Am I in labor? What's that feeling? Am I in labor?
Oh, no, she's like, damn it, just farted.
And you find, what? You find yourself.
You're like, am I in labor?
Just go gas. You find yourself constantly Googling like, am I in labor? And I have definitely not Googled, am I in labor at all? But like, there's only been one time this pregnancy where I've been like, what is that feeling? And then I realized that the baby had hiccups. And I was like, that's cute.
It's kind of like dating narcissistic men. Like after the first one, you're like, that's what this is.
You find yourself Googling at the start and then you're like, oh, this is pattern behavior and I'm the problem. Got it.
But
cool.
that's also what my brain is thinking, as we all know. I'm on the pendulum of the childbirth thing. Not the childbirth thing, the child thing. I keep doing the math in my brain about what age I'm going to be if I fall pregnant and have them. And I'm going to be like going into my 40s. And I know there's nothing.
Same.
No, but I know there's not. Yeah, but you're done in third. I haven't started. I haven't thought about starting. I have to book in the IVF.
I get the feeling you're going to be a one and done person
But
anyway.
I know, but I don't really want to have an only child. I tell you, I'm going to be that rare case where they're like, oh my God, the egg split 25 times.
You're an octomom.
There's 25 kids in there. I bet you, some freak thing, you heard it here first, some freak split thing's going to happen and I'll have heaps.
There's a lot of bad rap when you go into having what they call a geriatric pregnancy. And also I know that genetically things get harder as you get older, blah, blah, blah. Like I know that. I'm not discrediting any of that. But there was a lot of fear mongering around like, God, number 3, your body's going to really be fucked after this one. And so far I'm like, oh, okay. Well, we're doing all right.
If I had like spontaneous triplets, would you guys take one each? I'll just
to be fair,
I get first choice.
If they were your genes, I think I probably would.
To be fair, Keisha,
you with Ben's kid though, you're so short, Ben's so tall.
Keisha has Delilah enough. It'll be no different. Just pass one to Keisha.
Yeah, you want both. You don't want one, Laura?
My family, done.
Let's move along from all that. Everyone's had enough of the pregnancy chat. So have I. I'm exhausted by it.
No, because half of our audience are pregnant and mums and
but
stuff.
Also, one of the beautiful messages that we received last week from Tanya Hennessy.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Speaking of pregnancy chat that people aren't over, you guys might remember we interviewed Tanya Hennessy a couple of weeks back, actually a couple months back now.
God,
and
that was flown by.
Hasn't it? And Tanya Hennessy has just announced that she's having a baby. We absolutely could not be more thrilled for her. She's 18 weeks pregnant, maybe 19 weeks by the time this comes out. But when she spoke to us, she's been trying for 7 years, 7 years of infertility.
And trying everything that there is, every kind of fertility treatment, foods and acupunctures and
spells,
weight loss, spells, wizardry.
She literally would have done anything.
Yeah. And I think as well, like every single person in the room that day where she had us all in tears because she described how ambitious she is and how she's managed to achieve everything that she wants in career, and then the one thing that she wants so badly she's had to work for 7 years for and hasn't been able to have. And Tanya spoke about on that episode, if you guys want to go back and listen to it, I think it's really beautiful and full circle now, that she had 3 embryos on ice. 2 of them had been tested, 1 of them hadn't been tested, and she'd lost 42 kilos in preparation. She'd done 2 rounds of endometriosis surgery.
She gave up Red Bull.
She gave up Red Bulls. She really did say, I have done every single thing that I can possibly do within my power to make my last 3 chances,
work.
the 3 possibilities I have of becoming a parent work. And so to see her talking about her pregnancy, to hear that she's announced it, is honestly just the best news in the freaking world. We could not be more happy.
It was almost like, I don't think I've felt happier for someone online, like when I saw that, than I have in that moment in a long time.
Yeah.
Like, of course you're always happy for people, but when you, I guess maybe because we have that personal connection, when you know how much it had affected her life and how much she wanted it. It's all she has thought about and tried to do for 7 years. And she's gone through the motions of feeling like a failure. She's gone through the motions of everyone in her life being able to fall pregnant like that and not understanding why. And to see that announcement, I was just beside myself. I was so happy.
It also gives hope, right? Like, I mean, for so many people who find themselves in the trenches of infertility, it was the same thing when we interviewed Chloe Fisher. And 7 years, a lot of people would stop trying. You know, a lot of people would feel as though they'd already done everything. And
well,
so
not that. Financially, people can't do it that much. It's so expensive.
It is privilege.
Like people, to do 7 rounds of IVF, people are taking loans out. People are remortgaging houses. People are really making sacrifices because, I mean, I've done 4 rounds of egg retrievals and embryos, so no implantation. But they're like, they range between, depending on what drugs you need, and they range between like $7,000 and $13,000 a round. So people that are doing, 7 years, I know a woman that did 40 rounds. She had to like remortgage a house because she just really wanted a baby, and that's how long it took.
Yeah,
crazy,
and I guess like Tanya's 39, so I know that age was like a thing that she had in the back of her mind. But I commented on her post and I just said, this baby is going to grow up knowing how deeply it was wanted, and like what a beautiful feeling for a kid to look back and to be able to actually listen to podcast interviews that she did and be like, wow, I was really wanted in this world.
Yeah.
But imagine
my
my
mum gave
kid.
up Red Bull for me.
Like, no, what's my kid going to think? I was at the pendulum for 2 years. It's going to be like, what the fuck, Mum?
You're going to be paying for your kids' therapy, but probably for multiple reasons.
I don't want my kids ever listening to this, not for that reason, for a lot of other reasons. Do you know how many messages I got off the back of the episode? Actually, it was really nice. So many people that were in the same places me mentally. Like I call it the purgatory, like that fertility purgatory.
You're talking about last week's episode.
Of my episode where I spoke, last week. If you didn't listen, I just spoke about that really complicated place that you are where you want kids, but you don't want kids, but you're not sure, but you want them in the future, but not right now. And just that really complicated idea of not knowing where you are and what you want. But so many people resonated with it. But the number of people that wrote to me and not convinced me, but it was quite comforting, saying, you think that you're overthinking means you don't want them or you're not going to be a good mum because you know, to be a mum, you should be 100% sure. But they said the fact that you are considering it so in depth, so specifically, you're doing the research on it, that means you're going to be a good mum. It means that you want it, but you want to make sure you're ready. And I guess I hadn't looked at it in that way before. So it was really nice to receive messages from people saying, don't think that your over depth thinking equals not wanting to be a mum, because that's
like,
what
thank you. I'm even more confused.
I was. No, none of it helped. None of it made it clear.
It just added more questions. And the nicest thing that, because I shared in that episode that something I've been quite worried about, you know, entering the motherhood conversation and whatever, is because I've been diagnosed with mental health issues for a very long time now. It's very much a part of my like everyday life. And I was quite worried about getting pregnant and going into that stage where a lot of people experience postnatal depression who don't have depression beforehand, you know, and I was like, fuck, how bad could it actually get? How dark could it get? And quite a few people messaged me after that, and it was a really reassuring thing to read. A lot of them said, hey, I was in exactly the same position. I felt exactly the same way, same diagnoses beforehand. And apparently a lot of people who have existing mental health issues actually handle the postnatal depression kind of era a bit better because you're quite aware of it. And you maybe even have management strategies in place already. So I just wanted to share that for anyone else who may be related to how I felt and you had a fear around that. Maybe it will alleviate some of those, you know, fears for you too. But overall, like Tanya, I hope that you hear this. We are so, so insanely happy for you. Like I felt the same way as you did, Bria. I don't think I've ever been as happy for a friend to see a pregnancy announcement. Like we just could see how much you deeply, deeply wanted it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the polar opposite, back in the dating scene, I just drove to work with a friend and I was having a chat to her about it. And I realized for me, it feels like being in the dating world was not that long ago, but I guess it was, you know, nearly 3 years. I'm married now, but it feels like yesterday. Anyway, she's still in the depths of it. She matched with someone I know like a couple of days ago. I don't know him well, but enough that she sent a photo, an old photo from like 12 years ago of me and him and like I was like, she's like, you know this guy, blah, blah, blah. She wants the intel. And I said, oh, he was good friends with my old situationship. But I was like, I don't know him. Anyway, I just caught up with her and I was like, how did it go? Did you meet up? Did you chat? What's going on? And she said, no, we've just spoken on the phone. And I was like, what? I was like, we spoke on the phone, but what do you mean? Like you're not meeting him? And she's like, yeah, it's this thing that everyone's doing in the dating world now. Everyone just cold calls.
I appreciate this. I mean,
not a cold call.
No, I think it's great. Hear me out. Okay, this is going back many moons because I have not dated now for a long time. Back then, no one called. And I fucking love a phone call. I love a phone call. Keisha will back me up here. It's the only time where our generation gap like actually presents itself.
Yeah.
Where Keisha will send endless messages and I'm like, please call them.
Just call me.
And Keisha's like, I'll send another message. And I'm like, please just call them. And then like a day goes past and Keisha's like, oh yeah, they got back on message. And I'm like, just pick up the phone. Why do we hate calling people?
It's a generation thing. But I don't mind. No, I don't mind a call. But it's escalated from that.
No. So I'd been set up kind of on like a blind date with this guy through friends many moons ago. And he's older, right? So he was like 5 years older than me or 6 years older than me. So at the time, no, maybe older. Maybe he was 10. I think he was 40 and I was 30, which is more of a gap. Anyway, I was set up on this blind date and we'd texted literally like twice. And then he just called me and we talked for 40 minutes because he was like, well, I might as well have a chat with you and see if we're actually going to have any chemistry. And I think people can do their best work in text message and it's really misleading.
Oh, no, I love a call. That's not what it's about.
Sorry.
But it's about that like it's not just cold calling now, but it's different to be like, hey, first of all, let's jump on a call and chat when's good. That's one thing. A cold call out of the blue, just like spontaneous, but it's also cold video calls as well. She was saying, they just FaceTime call you all the time. She's like, the other day, a guy who I'd barely been speaking to I'd just gotten out of the sauna and he's trying to FaceTime me. And I was like, well, you can't answer that. I was like, don't answer after a sauna. She goes, no, because I didn't want to be that girl that like cared what she looks like. And I was like, so you answered out of the sauna? I'm like,
Care a little bit.
I'm like, care a little bit. I'm like, just say you're busy. And she's like, was it too much? And I'm like, yes, like in the sauna, you're like bright red and sweaty. But I don't know. I understand why people are doing it and I love a phone call. I don't like this generation of cold surprise calling because it's to catch you out and see who you really are, what you really like without planning, without whatever. But I'm like, it's okay to put a little bit of effort in at the start and want to impress somebody. And I don't know. I'm not about it.
I don't know if it's like intentionally to catch you out.
It is.
I think people are sick of the endless text messaging. And like we've all been there. We've all experienced the fucking doom hole of just the endless texts that you are going to plan to meet up and have coffee or whatever it is and then it never happens. And you've all wasted over a day or a week, like sometimes longer. So I think people are just trying to cut to the chase and like weed out things that don't have potential.
Well, on top of
as
that,
fast as possible.
On top of that, and we all miss this. We are so lucky that we miss this, but apparently online dating is full of AI now and full of bots and not real people and like cryptocurrency bros, like fake bots that are selling you and trying to get you to sign up for stuff. And so apparently that's why people are calling now because nobody believes anyone's real anymore. Like it's gotten to the point that you match with someone and you're genuinely, instead of saying they look nice, the question is now, are they real? Which is just a whole nother world. I couldn't imagine adding that pressure to how hard online dating is.
Yeah, but I mean, we had catfishes. Like sometimes
like
you'd be talking to someone who was so hot that you'd be like, I don't know if they're real or not. And then I guess you would see if they turned up or if they didn't. But
how many people didn't turn up to your date?
Do you know what I mean? Like if they turned up and they looked like how they actually did.
It has existed for a while though. Do you remember we talked about Ashley Madison, the cheating website or app that exists? It still exists now, but it was really prolific kind of going back 15 years ago. And one of the biggest issues that was raised in the documentary about that, if anyone's interested to go back and watch it, was the fact that, you know, all these men were subscribing and putting their profiles on, but there were a lot of fake bot chats of women who the reason why they were on there was to make it seem like there were more people who wanted to cheat than there actually were. And so they had to create these like fake accounts that would engage. And so it's been around, but I guess
it wasn't in the day-to-day dating. This is mainstream, like Tinder's, Bumbles, like everything that it's just your day-to-day. Imagine having to challenge that.
And then they're trying to sell you Avon at the end of it.
Cryptocurrency. She's like, you get it back and forth 3 times and they're like, hey, have you ever thought of crypto?
Well, stop it.
Do you know?
I kind of did this with my boyfriend now. I mean, actually, I should start calling him partner. It's been 2.5 years. But I remember we met on Hinge and we were messaging back and forth for a short period of time. And he was like, what are you doing on Saturday night? Like, do you want to go on a date? And at the time, I remember writing back and I was like, whoa, Saturday night is prime real estate. Like,
you're a Wednesday night guy.
I don't know you yet. You know,
you don't get my weekend.
I obviously didn't say it. I did say Saturday night is prime real estate, but I didn't say like, I don't know you well enough because I'd been in the past, I'd been like, yeah, sure. And then I'd spent a Saturday night with someone that I was like, if I had had a phone call with you, I would not be sitting here because we're not compatible. We don't match. Like,
and you would have figured it out if you chatted.
Totally. So he was like, okay, well, what's your phone number? And he called me every day for a week, only for like 5-10 minutes. And it was just like a phone call. It wasn't a video call.
Just phone sex quickly, just to see the vibe.
Do you know what was so bad? I don't know if this is specific because like before I worked in podcasting, I worked in radio. So I had this weird thing about people's voices. If I didn't like their voice, I was like, I'm just not going to be able to be with you, which is so superficial.
I do think a lot of people have that though. Like a lot of people need to hear a voice and like voice gives context to a person, I think.
I love an accent
tone
too.
And the way that they are like sarcastic. Like,
I do.
I love an accent.
I do. Like,
I love a bilingual queen.
sometimes I try and get Ben to talk to me one of his other languages, but he hates it. He's like, stop making me do it. I'm like, do French. I was like,
well, look, we actually were talking about this a little bit earlier. Something we used to do on the pod all the time, we haven't done it in so long, is your worst dating stories. Usually it was Brit bringing her worst dating stories.
thank God I don't have them anymore.
Then we realised like no one's been bringing them because Brit hasn't had any catastrophe dates for a while. You're really letting the team down, pal.
Do you know, I think you underestimate the pressure I felt to stay single. I really wanted to fall in love and I felt like I wasn't allowed because I was letting the podcast down. Because Laura's already like, I'm having another baby, go do something. And I was like,
we need the yin to the yang, God damn it.
And I was like, but Laura, I want to be in love too. You're like, not yet.
Suffer.
Like, go get fucked. Like, go have someone ghost you.
Well, look, since you can't provide anything anymore, Britt, we want to know what are your worst dating stories. We want the horrifying stuff. We actually had someone in who we interviewed who was telling us about how they had truly the most train wreck dating history / stories.
She's the best.
She dated a wizard.
They dated
Just say
a
it.
wizard.
She was dating a
And
wizard.
they dated a man who was part of the Sperm Retention Society, which we fucking have to unpack one day.
Actually, the same person.
But it's the same person, yeah. These are not two stories.
I want to know, send us your most cooked dating stories that you've had, whether it's a first date, whether you found out a couple of weeks in that actually, I don't know.
They are a wizard too.
You were dating someone who's part of the Sperm Retention Society. I don't know. I don't care. Whatever it is. Do you remember the time that we got sent a dating story? It was a first date story about the girl who'd gone for a walk around the cliff tops with her boy, with the guy, like first date, cliff top walk.
I know the one.
They were down on like the rock platform and it was quite windy and he tried to go in for a kiss and she was like, fuck it, I'm not into this at all. And she was
But she
like,
did it anyway.
No, he goes in for a kiss and she was like, oh, thank God. Like the wind kicked up and it was really dusty. And she was like, oh, sorry, dust in my mouth. Got out of the kiss. Walks up to the top of the hill and realised someone has thrown a cremation off the hill.
She ate a dead person instead of kissing him.
Spreading ashes.
They were covered in it. Anyway,
But
if you have one
imagine
like
how
that,
bad the
send it
date
in.
is if you'd prefer to consume a dead person's ashes than kiss that person. Like that's saying a lot.
I've been on them.
What, where you've eaten dead ashes?
No, where I'd prefer to do that.
I should stop saying dead ashes. Ashes are dead. They're the same thing.
All right, look, something that I came across online the other day, and it was truly the most amazing nostalgia piece. I saved it and shared it with the guys. And I wanted to play this for you because if you were a millennial, there's always that debate between like Gen Z, millennials, like the never-ending fight between Gen Z thinking millennials are lame and millennials thinking Gen Zs don't relate.
I didn't know that there was a fight.
Yes.
I'm not in it enough to know that we're fighting.
It's not really a fight. It's just that like,
I think we're losers.
yeah, they think we're losers. They
Yeah.
think we're losers and they think they're better than us. And look, fair, they probably are. But we've lived a life. And I came across this one woman. Her name is, this is her Instagram handle. It's Mary Santa, a comedy.
Yeah.
And this took me back to the year 2000 when we have a lot of regrets. We don't remember everything that happened, but I feel like anyone who is a millennial who lived this life, who is similar age to us, will deeply relate. Have a listen to this.
Hi, this message is for Gen Z. Stop being mean to millennials. Just stop, okay? Because guess what? You could never. You could never. I would love to take a Gen Z in their prime right now, today, hot, 21. I want to take you to a club in 2010, and you would literally probably die. Let's start with the pregame. You guys don't even know what a pregame is. You're getting ready. It's probably 9, 10 o'clock. You start playing music. Lil Jon's going all through the house. People are running around. You're taking shots. You're doing shots of vodka that you can't pronounce that came from a gas station in a plastic bottle. You might make yourself a little mixed drink. Take that in the shower. You deserve a spa day. Everyone's feeling toasty. You start to get ready. What are you wearing? Not sneakers. Ugh. You wouldn't be caught dead in a pair of tennis shoes at the club. No, baby, you have your 6-inch, $10 Charlotte Russe heels that are going to destroy your feet. You're going to be bleeding. You're going to have blisters, but you're going to wear them the whole night because they make your legs look good. And we're not wearing baggy jeans and tank tops. No, we are wearing tubie dresses. They start here, they end just at your and that's it. That's what you got. Now let's get to the club. You get inside. No one has cell phones. There's nowhere to sit. Even if there is a VIP section, no one's in it because we went to the club to dance. Okay? I don't think I've ever seen a Gen Z person dance that wasn't like
TikTok dancing
No,
is what she's
babe.
doing for audio
Back
listeners.
that comes on, you are sprinting to the dance floor. I understand you guys grew up with like social distancing and like staying away from people, but not at the club. If you're not mashing against a stranger in the dark for 4 straight hours, you
grinding.
didn't even go to the club. And then maybe you have HPV, maybe you don't. That's for Gardasil to figure out later. The only time you stop is to go pee or to go do another shot at the bar. End of the night, you're drenched in sweat. You're so drunk, your feet hurt. You probably took your shoes off. Bottom of your feet are black. You're walking around outside with no shoes. You're fist fighting a horse cop. Things got crazy. You wake up the next day, you don't know where your coach wristlet is. Why do you have a black eye? No clue. But guess what? You had the time of your fucking life. You had so much fun that you're going to go to brunch and then do it again tomorrow. So the next time you guys want to talk about millennials, just remember that you guys are at home at 9 p.m. when you should be out having the best time of your life.
Like, I'm not proud of myself, but I don't regret any of it at this point.
This is literally what the hangover is made from.
It's
like that
so
idea that
accurate.
You wake up and you don't remember what happened and you got a black eye and you're like, where was I?
It took me back to sitting on the floor in my bedroom in front of my mirror, doing my makeup at 10 o'clock at night, curling my hair with a fucking curling wand, getting ready to go out and just like, you would not get home until 5 a.m. in the morning.
No, it's the shoes.
It was the commitment.
It's the shoes that you couldn't walk in, like the huge shoes that you knew your feet were going to be bleeding and cut up and you would never dream of taking them off. You wore an outfit that was probably $15 from Super 8, thin and see-through, barely covered your vagina.
And that was winter.
It's like those elastic bodycon dresses, you know, the ones that had the pieces that went across.
What were we all doing? So we were talking about it earlier and we were like, what are some of the things that you like have visceral memories of doing? And that was completely normal at the time. My number one was you'd go out with your group of friends, you'd get your handbags, you'd put them in like either on a couch, like next to where you're dancing, or in a pile on the floor and put a jacket over it and dance around.
You had to make a circle.
Or next to your protected little pocket of bags. And then every so often you'd run back to check and make sure that everything's still in your bag and no one had robbed you.
You could never disperse the group. Someone always had to stay with the bags.
Oh, no.
No, we left ours.
No, we
we
left
would
it.
not.
But
we
the
would
jacket prevented it.
We left it for the one person who was silly enough to take a jacket with them, because you always lost the jacket, right? The jacket never came home with you.
I
The
took the
bag did.
jacket.
The jacket was always lost.
I was the jacket person.
Look, my go-to, like I said, none of this is us encouraging. It's just purely reminiscing. I would go and buy a bottle of Bombora, which is like kind of like bad, cheap coconut Malibu, a cask of fruity elixir, and mix the two together. What was wrong with me?
When your alcohol comes from the bladder, you're in a bad place.
I can't think about that without, I could vomit at the thought. I do not have a more visceral memory in my life. I can smell right now, it's not even in the room, I can smell the drink and it makes me want to vomit from this one night. Since I was like 17, I have not been able to drink it.
I've got one more for you, Britt. Wet pussy shots.
No,
they're good.
No, Smirnoff Double Black. It's
They
double
were
banky buck.
marketed to children, okay? They should be illegal. They're like lemonade. Do you guys remember when you would be in the dancing circle and there would always be someone who would come up behind you and grind on you and you couldn't see enough, like you couldn't really turn around and look at them. So firstly, you didn't really know who it was.
But you do it
But
anyway.
you make the eye contact with your friend and it would be like a handshake of, is this person, do I want them grinding on me or not? Because right now, I have no idea. I'm putting all of the trust in you to
No,
tell
I
me.
feel like it was the opposite for me. My memory of it is like you would see your friend getting grinded on, and then you would look at them for the facial cues as to whether they wanted to be saved or not. And they'd be like, no, I'm good, and mac on. Or they'd be like, oh, and run away. Like, and it was just normal.
Mac on is even a phrase.
What about doing laps? So like you
Cuddle
dance
up.
for
You'd
a
say
while.
cuddle up.
Then you
Go
had
see
to
who's hot.
You'd have to do a lap around the club just to check out who you might want to hook up with that night. And then you'd go back dance with your friends for a while. Then you might pick one friend, do another lap.
But also, you guys just don't even know. You would leave smelling of smoke, cigarette burns. Like everyone was smoking inside the clubs back then. It wasn't banned yet.
Yeah,
The kids now, they don't get it. They don't get what we had to go through to get macked on.
To be fair, though, I think I was 22 or 23 when the no smoking in clubs rule came in.
Yeah, we only had a couple of years.
Yeah.
Our formative years of burns.
Can I? There's one comment in the comment section on this. We'll link the video because it's great. And also it's got like 15,000 comments because I know everybody else has their own, everyone else has their own nostalgia moment of the early 2000s, right? Whether it's Bombora or it's Supre. But there was one comment that said, the entire clubbing ritual is our generation's I would walk 5 miles one way to school in the snow with no shoes on story.
Yeah.
And
But
I
it's
just
true.
so deeply believe it.
But the heels that we used to wear were insane. Did you guys have those Jeffrey Campbell lace-up boots?
I didn't
Oh,
have
yeah.
anything with a name.
that had the wood at the back. I had them in like 3 different colours and I would just alternate them with my bodycon dress.
The fact that you would go out for one night, it wasn't an event, it wasn't someone's birthday. It was just like, let's go out. You would upload an entire Facebook album of 150 photos from that night, and you'd call it Saturday Night, Best Night Ever. That was the album name, and you would just flood it with blurry, drunk, nothing photos.
And it's just everyone dancing, holding drinks.
150.
When I did The Bachelor, I had to go back through my Facebook
And delete
and
them.
fucking scrub it. I
So did
scrubbed that. And as I was going through it, I was like,
Laurie's got like
wow.
heroin injections on the clock. She's like, oh, better take that one out.
There wasn't a lip in sight. Remember how everyone used to put foundation over their lips? And it would, your whole face would be the one colour, but it would be like 10 shades darker than what it was supposed to be of that dream matte mousse. Did you guys have that foundation?
True, okay.
And everyone smelt like Britney Spears Fantasy or Midnight Fantasy.
Or
if you
Lynx
wanted to be a
Africa.
bit different.
Links
Oh,
Africa.
I don't know. I don't remember that one. Mine was like Gucci Rush. That was really of the moment.
really?
I
Gucci?
fancy. No, but it was like that big red bottle. I know it's still around. It's actually still smells so good. But like that was my 2000s memory, was that perfume. Also, St. Ives apricot scrub. That was our entire skincare ritual. Kids these days have like their vitamin C. They've got the drunk elephant. We just exfoliated our skin barrier until it did not exist.
I
Or
don't
put
even think I
Proactive
did
on
that.
it. Did you guys have the Proactive
No, I actually had
subscription?
great skin.
It must be nice.
I don't mean to.
nice.
No, I did. I didn't have to do anything. I was lucky. I had good skin.
To be fair, Britt, I probably had good skin
Still
too. I
practice.
just used St. Ives until there was no skin barrier left. Because back in the day, I thought, oh, exfoliation means you should probably bleed.
But do you know what?
You're doing the vampire facial at home.
No, but when you talk about the Dream Matte foundation, I remember when everyone started wearing foundation to school. And I mean, we didn't have a lot of money. So like I would buy a foundation and I wouldn't use it much. But I remember, I don't know why I did this for years. I would only put it on below my eyes, not my forehead. I don't know why.
Top deck chocolate.
No one told me. So I used to just like put it from here down and then just have like a white forehead. I don't know. I didn't know what I was doing.
It's true though. No one taught us to
No.
do makeup, and there weren't YouTube videos to what. There weren't girls doing their skincare and makeup routines on TikTok and Instagram for us to learn from. So if your mum wasn't a makeup person, you just went in blind.
You really did, didn't you?
Can I
It was
tell
such a time to be alive.
But I'm so embarrassed I'm going to say this. Did you guys get into the trend of when... I don't want to say it. I need to find a photo. When butterfly clips were in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You used to section my hair like this into like really long strips down my head, but I would roll it all the way. And then you'd put a clip on your head and you would have a row of butterfly clips like a crown.
Britt, if you were really into doing your hair, you would roll your entire hair and spray each section. So
Yep.
you had like makeshift
swivels.
curled dreadlocks, your entire head.
Did you guys ever straighten your hair within an inch of its life?
With an iron, not with an ironing.
Oh, okay. I had straighteners by the time I came around. But did you have that poof bit in the front
Yeah, you'd
where
poof
you'd do
it
that
forward.
tiny little bit and you'd make a bubble and
Yep.
you'd bobby pin it and it would just
It was like a
you'd
giant...
have flat head with the bubble.
The last thing I want to add is that hair straighteners didn't exist at this point, and I would get out an ironing board, flip my hair upside down, and iron my hair to
Yeah.
go out to the nightclub. That is ground zero of where hair straighteners came from. That's what we lived through. So the little Gen Zs could have a nice GHD or a bloody cloud. Guys, if you do have any nostalgia moments from early 2000s, if you are here with us in the trenches of being almost 40, we want to hear it because they are... It's just so refreshing. How did we all survive? How are we all still alive?
I remember my little sister, Sherry, and all her friends for the school formal, they all didn't know what to do with their hair. And I was like, come on, girls, I'll sort you out. And we did those oiled swivels that you just said. They all came over and I oil swiveled their whole hair. And that was like, that was the cool look. And I was like the cool older sister. I was like, you guys got this. Oh, it was a bad time. I'm going to find some photos.
Guys, I have a question for you. Have you ever been in a relationship where you feel as though there is an effort mismatch? And now the reason why we're talking about this is because we came across quite an interesting piece of content by a person named @Bayer_voice. And it was all around this effort mismatch and how it can be misunderstood in relationships as being a dysfunction or as being in a toxic relationship. And it kind of reminded us a little bit of the conversation we had quite a few months ago around askers and guessers. I don't know.
Years ago.
Yeah, was it years?
Yeah, it's like 3 years.
To be fair, I'm pretty sure I saw it on a different podcast recently and I was like, we talked about that so long ago.
We did it first.
So askers and guessers, if you're not familiar with that, it's kind of putting people into two different types of categories, right? In one sense, you have people who are very motivated to ask for the things that they want, who feel as though it's not rude to be quite direct and to ask the questions about the things that they want in their life. Then you also have guessers. Now, guessers are people who think that upfront, direct conversation like that comes across abruptly and kind of rude. And when you have an asker and a guesser trying to communicate with each other, there can be a misunderstanding and there can be a misinterpretation around the intention behind the way that person communicates.
Well, guessers also just expect things to be done for them. Like, you should know that I want this done for me. Like, you should read my mind. They don't feel comfortable putting anything forward or being assertive in any way.
Yes and no, though. The other thing I think that is important in terms of a guesser is that askers can abuse a guesser's kindness and generosity, because a guesser would only ever ask someone if the answer is going to be yes, but an asker will ask anyway. So the thing that we establish in that conversation is that someone who is truly a guesser feels like they have to say yes to people. That's where burnout comes from. That's where feeling like this sense of like, I'm not appreciated comes from, whereas like it's just a mismatch in communication.
Well, it's also where the saying "don't ask, don't get" comes from. Askers are happy to ask. It doesn't matter what the answer is. Like, it doesn't matter if it's no. Like, that's actually, I was an asker.
Yeah, and I'm a guesser.
I am absolutely a shoot your shot. No isn't the end of the world, and no doesn't feel bad. And it's always a no if you don't ask. Like, that is my motto. I'm happy to get a no and put that out there.
And as a guesser, I hate saying no to people because I don't like disappointing people. I think people who are people pleasers usually fall into that guesser category. Now, this idea of effort mismatch, I wanted to play you this little reel so that you understand kind of the premise behind it. And then we're going to unpack it a bit, because I do feel like there are going to be a lot of people who find themselves in this type of relationship and maybe feel like their partner doesn't care as much as they care, or feel as though that they're having the same fights and arguments on repeat. But really, it might be a way in which you can kind of approach a new way to communicate that might help fix this. Have a listen to this.
One of you is exhausted from always initiating the hard conversations. The other is exhausted from being told they're not doing enough. That's not dysfunction. That's what we call an effort mismatch. It shows up like this. One partner listens to the podcast and bookmarks the reels and pushes for couples therapy, and the other says, "We're good. Why are we always talking about the problems?" It's easy to paint this as a motivation problem, but that's actually not what it is. Dr. Alexandra Solomon has called this a dynamic that happens between the change partner and the acceptance partner. The change partner pushes for growth and insight and forward movement. The acceptance partner holds down the fort of now. Everything's good as it is, easy breezy. They feel pretty good about life and how things are going. Nothing's really wrong. But if we're not careful, it polarizes. The change partner starts to feel alone in the effort, and the acceptance partner starts to feel criticized just for being themselves.
Just to give you some examples off the back of that so you can really understand what it is. The change partner behaviors are things like, we should really talk about our communication. They make suggestions like, hey, if you're free, let's set an hour aside a week. Let's lock it in our diary where we're going to sit down and talk about our feelings and talk about our problems.
Let's do our 5-year plan together.
Yeah, they're the people that will be constantly reviewing your relationship patterns and saying, hey, something doesn't feel right. Like, can we check in? Constantly checking in. And they are the people that are bookmark and listen to the relationship podcast. And they are the people wanting to move it forward. And then when you go to the acceptance partner, they're the ones that are like, what's the problem? We're fine. Like, why are we fixing something that ain't broke? Because they're not looking at it in the same way as maybe you're looking at it. You're probably looking into the future and seeing problems before they have risen and wanting to deal with them then. Whereas somebody that is okay to cruise through a relationship, they don't have the foresight to see that.
Well, I think one of the real defining things for me that I found really interesting about this is if you are the change partner in a relationship, and it's not to say you might both be change partners. Like, this is when there's a mismatch, right? But if you're the change partner and you have an acceptance partner, the change partner is the one who notices small issues. And small issues are things that they want to talk about. Like, hey, this happened and it made me feel like this. And you want to actually communicate those things because to you, that feels like working towards resolution, more harmony. Whereas the acceptance partner is like, that was not a big deal. Why are we talking about that? So it doesn't even matter. And sometimes that can feel super dismissive when you're in a relationship, because especially if you're a talker and your partner's not, and you're like, hey, I want to talk about that thing. And they're like, I fucking don't.
Yeah, and I also think that these are the kind of the extremes of them, right? Like
Totally.
I think you can kind of live a little bit closer to the center, but these questions that came up, I think actually helped me understand a little bit more which side of the kind of scale I sit on. So when conflict arises, do you find yourself instinctively wanting to talk it through and figure it out? So like, can we discuss this? Or do you prefer to give it space and have silence? Do you often scan the relationship looking for things to improve or fix, even small annoyances, while your partner seems more comfortable with how things are now? If your partner expresses frustration, do you feel the urge to suggest books, therapy, solutions, podcasts, whereas your partner tends to respond with empathy and emotional availability? When your partner brings up potential problems, do you appreciate it or do you feel nagged? That last question was probably the most enlightening for me to ask.
I asked Ben that actually last night. I read that word for word and I said, when I bring a problem to you or an issue that I'm feeling, do you feel like I'm nagging you, or are you able to see what that is and want to work on it and understand where I'm coming from? And he's like a bit of A, bit of B, to be honest. It's like a bit of A, bit of B. And I said, yeah, I guess I do nag you a bit. I was like, but that's because I can say the same thing multiple times and you don't change it. And I think this is where the conflict arises, is because there's no right or wrong, but in these situations, both individuals feel like they are in the right. And sometimes if you don't understand your relationship dynamics and what category you're in, that's where the big issues arise from. And I think the thing that Ben and I have learned, so I am definitely the change maker. I am the one that is constantly thinking of the future and working towards the future and wanting to work on the little things in our relationship that come up. Whereas he's just happy to cruise. He's like, we're having fun now. Well, I haven't even thought about what we're going to do in a year or 3 months' time or whatever else. Then that leads to the decision fatigue, the mental load that people feel because you are constantly thinking of not only yourself but them. But then that's where the fight arises, because if you can't understand who your partner is at their core and why they're thinking that, you both end up in this cyclical argument of like, I'm right, you're not listening to me. Well, hang on, you're not listening to me, I'm right. Instead of saying, hey, maybe we're both right to an extent and let's meet in the middle.
I do think that it's a very easy space for resentment to start to fester. But I also kind of think, and the more that I looked into this, I was like, it's very easy for the person who is the change partner to be identified as like the better partner. Like, I'm putting in all this effort. I'm
I'd
doing
say I'm
all
better.
these things. I'm trying so hard and you're not meeting me where I need to be met. And I would say that if we had a question that came in, and obviously like no one's ever going to write a question that's like, I'm a change partner and my partner is, the acceptance partner. But I would say, looking at it with this lens, there's probably a different way that we can attack some of those questions, because sometimes we would say, well, they're not picking up their weight, or they don't seem to care about the future as much as you care. And like, you're trying so hard to progress this relationship and there's a mismatch in effort. But really, and when I read through this and when we kind of dug into the research around it a little bit, we are also the generation that is so guilty of not appreciating what we have. Like, there is so many of us who are so caught in that hustle culture trap because it's sold to us as progress. And we really struggle with just being appreciative of the relationships or of the place that we are in at the moment. And I think that sometimes we probably should take the change partner off the pedestal a little bit and prop the acceptance partner up in some ways, in terms of appreciating that they have the ability to really love where life is now. And that's not always a bad thing.
And also love where their relationship is now and appreciate the person for what they are now, rather than
Who they're going to be in the 5-year plan.
Yeah, always trying to kind of change them. What do you think exists more naturally in your relationship dynamic?
I think Matt and I are probably both change partners in ways, but I think I'm probably more the change partner in terms of, it's tricky because when we talk about these relationship dynamics, we're not actually talking about work, but I think I do push work, and I've spoken about it before in terms of like where I want things to be. And Matt has had the conversations with me before where he's like, well, when is enough for you? Like, what version of, okay, I need to get to this place? Because
5 years ago, you would have been happy at the place you're at now.
yeah,
But
because
then-
I struggle with really appreciating where we are along the journey. But at the same time, the mismatch in our relationship is very, very small. I would say it's a tiny window, and maybe it changes over time and fluctuates. But we are both super appreciative of where we're at. And there's not really a day that goes past where we're not like, we're so lucky to
I
have the
don't
relationship we have.
necessarily, maybe I read this and interpreted it in a way different to you guys, but I don't see this as not being appreciative of your partner. I think you can be very appreciative of who they are and what they are, but still be very different and want different things. Like, I don't necessarily collate the two.
I think I'm guilty of not being as appreciative as what I probably should. I do feel as though I nag my partner a bit. Like, I feel as though when I read through the whole lot of this, I was like, oh, wow, I actually am really the one who listens to all the podcasts and I have all the suggestions of the things that we should do. And he has mentioned to me before in the past where he's like, I just feel as though you don't appreciate me for who I actually am now, you know, like. So I guess reading through this, I was like, wow, that's really held a mirror up to me. And that's something that I feel like I can take away from this. But another section of this that I did find quite interesting, we always talk about relationship compatibility. And we talk about, you know, if you're extroverted, you need to be with another extrovert because otherwise you're going to hate spending time out with people and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, like the opposites attract theory is not correct.
Yeah. And you guys have spoken with Dr. Ali Walker before. She wrote this incredible book that was all about frequency and intensity of communication. And in that, she highlighted that you don't actually want someone who's the opposite to you. You want someone who's not the same, but in the kind of similar realm so that you're not building that resent towards each other for being the way that you naturally are. And I came across this thing, I'd never heard of it before. It was called relational dialectics theory. A psychological concept developed quite a few decades ago, and it basically explains relationships involving opposing needs. So this theory kind of talks about the fact that you need to have some type of opposing perspective on things like stability versus change. For me, the one that was really relatable was the desire for certainty versus the desire for novelty. Like, I'm really heavy in the desire for novelty. My partner's very heavy in the desire for certainty.
But I don't know, you have changed. I feel like since I met you, you were
medicated.
No, but your wants, and I think it changed with your relationship and with age. You definitely, when we met, were novelty, and I would say now you're certainty. You want to lock in the house. You want to lock in your relationship security. You want to know that your future's okay.
But I'm changing all the color of the walls because I'm getting bored already.
But that's not bored. That's just creating the certainty that you want. Like, that's creating your home and your future. I would say you've morphed.
Maybe. I mean, and these things, all of the research on all of these things, the change partner and the acceptance partner, it does say that you actually can change over the course of your lifetime, but you also can switch places and back and forth. One person can be one and then the other.
But you also influence each other, right? Like, I mean, if you're someone who is spontaneous and crazy and wild and you get into a relationship with someone who's not, they're the grounding person in that relationship. There will be times where you go, you know what, that spontaneous crazy thing that I was going to do, I probably won't do that because it's kind of really disrespectful to my partner. Like, there is, everyone makes sacrifices in their relationships. And I think that the person that we end up with has a huge influence on our personality. I'm not saying they change your personality, but you kind of come together a little bit more to meet in the middle a lot of the time. I think when there's this massive resentment or mismatch that we're talking about, it's when you're both going in opposite directions.
But Ben has completely changed me. 100%.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I
Yes.
was the spontaneous person that didn't want to make plans. I have sayings with my friends that's PBE, which is play by ear. I won't lock in. We'll say play by. You want dinner on Saturday night?
Said
Play
that
by.
to me so many
Yeah,
times.
I said let's PBE, play by ear. I'll tell you at 5 if we're meeting at 7 because I hate plans. I'm disorganized. I love to live my life very freely, but unfortunately, I can't do that now because Ben does that times 100. Like, Ben is so much more disorganized and doesn't plan that I then have to take that role. So I don't want to take the role that I am in now of having to do everything basically for planning for the future. I mean, like, not everything in the day to day, but he doesn't have that forethought. So I feel like that's a prime example of when you do switch who you are, like what orientation that you see yourself, what end of the pole you're at, because sometimes you're forced to. And I imagine it happens a lot when people have kids.
100%,
Like,
yeah.
that's something that you don't get to choose anymore.
Yeah, I do. I definitely think that no one stays the same throughout their entire life. And I know you just established a case when you said like these things can shift and change, but they have to shift and change depending on your relationship dynamic. Going back to this type of effort mismatch that we're talking about though, in terms of like, if you feel as though you're in a relationship with someone where you are the one who is driving for change, or your partner's always kind of pushing or talking about the things that are issues or whatnot, like if you do feel like there is a caveat between what the two of you seem to appreciate in the relationship, how do you fix that problem is kind of the real question is to get to the bottom of.
I think for me, I've found a really sweet spot of being able to have those conversations with Ben. Ben's very emotionally intelligent. He's happy to talk about it. But what I will do now, most couples will bring a problem, or maybe like their husband or partner gets home from work and they're giving them the silent treatment because something's bothering them. Like, hey, what's wrong? Nothing. Don't want to talk about it. It creates this tension, creates an argument. You know, this could go on for days. What I do now with Ben, because I used to just bring those topics up, what I will do is I will read an article that resonates with me that's maybe something to do with a relationship or the future or issues, or, you know, a lot of it's from the podcast. Of course, we do our research. I will send that to him in advance. He reads it and then we will dissect it together later. And so we go through it later. No one's attacking anyone, but it's like sometimes I'll say, hey, what did you think about that? And he'll say, oh, yeah, I definitely saw parts of me in this. And, you know, I saw parts of you in that. And then we'll talk about it off the back of an article. And I found for our relationship, that's a far better way to meet in the middle than just like verbally spitballing things that you have an issue with. So I don't know if that's something that you guys can take away. If you have a dynamic at home in your relationship that you are very different in the effort mismatch and it's bothering you and you seem to not being able to sort it out, try something like that. Try something like sending a podcast and asking them to listen. But I think it's the way that you approach the conversations just as much as it is what the conversation is about.
I also think it's that one is not right and one is not wrong. I think the goal of kind of understanding this is similar to askers and guessers actually, is just to have a little bit of self-awareness around it, because you kind of need to know what will happen if this isn't recognized. You know, like the change partner's going to feel alone, like they're the only one making effort for you guys to grow and evolve and change. But the acceptance partner might feel really criticized or really nagged.
Totally.
And so I think that the way I tried to look at it and the lens I tried to put on was like, oh, okay, I probably do lean more into being the change partner. The work for me is to be a bit more appreciative of what I've got currently, like right in front of me, and not mistake that for us not going or evolving or becoming better or being stagnant. And then the work for the acceptance partner is to try and take a bit more initiative and facilitate some of the harder and deeper conversations and take up a little bit more of that effort that the other person is putting onto you.
Yeah, and I think that that's probably, I mean, on one hand, it's easy to say, like, appreciate where you are now.
Yeah.
But it is important that both people are initiating in a relationship. Like, it will only lead to resentment if one person feels as though they're carrying the entire load and the other person's like, I don't need to do it because they're doing it already. And that, I guess, is kind of like where you can slip into if you're someone who is the acceptance partner, because you don't think it's a big deal. You don't think it's an issue. And therefore, when your example that you made, Britt, where you're like, send the podcast, the thing I worry about, and I think about the friends who I have who I can see these dynamics play out with, is like, you can send it, but they're not going to listen to it because they don't care in the same way as what the other person cares.
Of course,
and
you have to be
don't,
receptive.
and they don't see that as an issue. They're just like, oh, I wasn't that interested in it, so I wasn't going to spend an hour of my day listening to a podcast, not reading between the lines that the reason why that was sent was because it was actually like a subliminal attack on their character. You know,
it shouldn't be subliminal. Like, if you're not in this world and you just send a relationship article to your partner, that's not subliminal. Like, it's very obvious you want to have a chat about it, or the whole idea is, hey, read this. I'd love to get your thoughts on it later. Like,
can I read you guys my favorite comment on the video that we played at the start? It was, the acceptance partner will never see this as they don't follow content like this and the algorithms will not show it to them.
yeah, exactly. So send it. Absolutely send it.
Yeah, that's
totally
true.
Well, I think at the end of the day, the conclusion to this is that it doesn't have to be deemed as something that is, like it said in the video, dysfunctional or toxic. And I do really think when it comes to like answering Ask Uncut questions, it's like another lens to put over it. When sometimes that person who's driving and pushing for change is deemed as being the person who cares more. And it's not always the case. It's just a complete either drive, communication, or effort mismatch, which happens in relationships. And I think that sometimes like trying to see things from the other person's perspective a little bit more rather than trying to be right about it is always a good way to approach relationship conflict.
It is time for Suck and Sweet, your highlight and your low light of the week. Laura, kick it off. What's your suck this week?
All right, my suck this week is that we have a very bad leak in our house. Not like our house in Bondi. We've been dealing with it for ages. Every time it rains, the rain is coming in through our door and going straight down and coming out the downstairs bathroom light.
That's just got to be rotting
There's
everything.
there's nothing worse than like seeing a water feature coming from a light fitting and you're like, oh, that feels dangerous.
Yeah, I feel like that's not supposed to be there.
And that looks expensive is what it was. We're in the midst of trying to get that fixed, but it just means that like,
It's always something. Isn't it?
it's like Pandora's box because as soon as when you've got a leak, it's not the leak. It's all the damage that it does inside the house of the mold and everything else that you've got to get out. So we're kind of like working through that at the moment. And we also have a neighbor who's been really, really fun to deal with around that. So yay for trying to fix
Yay,
shit in
neighbours.
houses and for really cranky old neighbors who never leave their own house. So they have nothing else to complain about except everything else that's going on in the street. Love you. And then
Okay, what's your sweet? Let's not get into a neighborly fight on the podcast. What's your sweet?
can we do a section around like fucking horror neighbors?
We've done it before, but we can bring it back.
Your upstairs neighbor sucks too.
Yeah, she's trying to kill my dog, I think. I mean, that's a blanket statement. She's throwing like chilies into my yard. Knowing
Stop
that I've done
it.
it. I showed Keisha the other day giant chilies. And I was like,
So
you didn't drop that. Like, that's not dropped.
for context, because anyone who's new might not know this, I used to live in the apartment that Brit now lives in,
Yeah.
and it's the ground floor, and the
It's a crazy
neighbor
neighbor.
who's directly upstairs. So she used to just hose me from her balcony.
She still does. I get hosed all the time.
So if I was downstairs in my own outdoor area on the phone in the middle of the day, I'm talking like 3 p.m. Saturday afternoon, chatting on the phone.
Oh, you don't want to be on the phone
sitting,
outside.
talking to friends or anything, she would get her hose, plug it in, hide, and just put her hose over the balcony so she hoses us down.
You know what she did to
She's fucking crazy.
Yeah, she's crazy. She does it too. The other day, so annoying. This wasn't even my suck. I've just hijacked yours. The other day, I had all these clothes out there drying, like, and they're not hidden. She knows they're there, and then they were just all soaked. She just waters them.
She waters your clothes. Yeah. When you
Mitch-
hang your clothes out so you hang your clothes out on a clothes horse in your own backyard, and
She'll
it's
wet
like
them.
she purposely throws things on them.
Mitch Churi came
Needs
over.
a water cut off.
No, Mitch Churi came over, and she hosed him down. I was like, okay, I'm one thing. You don't hose my guests. Anyway, now there's like food in my yard all the time, and it's not just like it's dropped down. So it's not below. It's on the other side. Like she has lobbed it into the yard. She's lobbing them. So that's what I'm dealing with at the moment. Anyway, continue on.
Okay, so that's my suck is like dealing with neighbors and dealing with a leak that we can't find. So yay. And then my sweet for the week is that we went to Cairns, and Cairns, everyone, is lit. We had the best time. I took the girls to Fitzroy Island. I'd heard great things about seeing turtles on Fitzroy Island, right? And I got off the boat with Matt and the girls, and the second we got off the boat, there were 3 massive sea turtles that were swimming under the jetty. And so Matt jumped in, and like Lola's never been snorkeling before because she's 4. And like
Yeah, checks out.
4-year-olds don't wear snorkels, but she like put her little snorkels on and she got in, and it was just so cool that it was so accessible that like a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old were able to see turtles and go swimming with turtles. I was like, what is
That's
your
really cool.
life? I didn't do any of that stuff when I was 4. And then we went over to Nudie Beach, which is just like literally around the corner from the main jetty of Fitzroy Island. And there was all these stingrays, like little baby stingrays, and the girls went swimming with baby stingrays.
That's really cute.
It was amazing.
and
Lola
winter
saw
as
a real
well.
cassowary.
Oh yeah, that was so cute. You're like, don't go near those. They're not cute birds.
I'm going to tell my teacher I saw a real cassowary. She loves them. Apparently cassowaries are her favorite animal, which is weird, but she's really into dinosaurs,
It does
so it makes
check
sense.
out though, because she does love a
She
dinosaur.
fucking froths a dinosaur.
And it's the closest
so
living
hard.
descendant to a dinosaur.
I think it's also why she froths turtles so much. Like Lola is not into fairies. She's not into princesses. She's not into pretty girl stuff. She's into dinosaurs and she's into accessories, and that's it. Like that's the only girl
Undies
thing.
on her head by accessories.
Yeah, like she loves an accessory. We were in Cairns and she was wearing fluffy earmuffs the entire time, but she is like sick for a dinosaur. So cassowary and turtles were kind of like
Her
where
dream.
it's at. Anyway, that was us. Go to Cairns. It was great.
My suck is that I've probably had this suck over the years. Maybe it rears its head maybe once a year, but this suck is how fucking cold my house is.
You've said it before. When you said
I
it rears its
can't-
head once a year, I was like,
Every winter,
I was
it's a
like
suck.
insurance or like your green slip. Like
You
what
thought
is
you were
it?
being scammed and just didn't pay a bill. You ran out of car reg, Joe.
Yeah, I was
No.
like, it's your registration, isn't it?
No, my house is like, I know houses are cold in Australia. We don't do it well. Mine is, I cannot exist without a puffer jumper. I wear thermals, puffers, thermal socks, then I'm under a blanket and I have a heater on. I wear beanies in my house just to live, like just to get to the lounge room, to the bedroom.
But I do want to remind you, this was your suck a couple of weeks ago.
Was
and
it?
it was, but
I
my
feel like it was not weeks ago.
my response to you then, well, it was during winter, so it wasn't long
last
ago.
winter.
No, it was this, Keisha? It was
It
this
was
winter.
not this winter.
It was
I think
only,
it might have been this
I
winter.
think you're thinking of Instagram. I complain on Instagram about it being cold.
but I'll find it in our show notes.
Your house is freezing. I slept over. We had a sleepover maybe a fortnight ago. Genuinely.
It's so
You
cold.
thought you were going to die?
I actually thought I was in an ice bath. I was like, what's happening?
I want to give you the same advice that I gave you the last time, which is the same thing we did when we lived there and were never cold. Get a gas heater. It's got gas outlets all over the house. Just buy a gas heater.
No,
$100.
no.
You can do it, Britt. You'd spend
put
you'd
Audi
spend,
on.
you'd spend less money on puffer jackets. Just get a gas heater.
Anyway,
it's like the apartment's small and the gas heater heats the whole thing up, and it's so toasty.
Well, it's too late now. We're 5 weeks out of winter.
That's what you said last winter, the winter before,
Because
the
it's
winter
what I
before,
do-
and the winter before.
And you know why? Because every winter I'm like, I'm not going to be in that house next year. I've said that for 4 years. I've been in that house for 4 years and I was supposed to be in there for 1. Anyway, moving on.
just buy a heater.
My sweet is on the semi-finals of Dancing with the Stars this week. I won, which was cool.
It was so good.
I got a 10.
It was amazing.
Yeah, and
you
it
are
was,
a 10, mate.
Thanks, mate.
You were amazing.
I waltzed, which was, I wasn't sure about the waltz because usually they're all quick and fast, and every week until now I got given the hardest dance every week. I got given the fastest dances every single week. Everyone else had been doing these slow, beautiful dances at different times, and I was just like constantly backflip, 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 don't be able to breathe, run, 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 run. So I was like begging them to give me a waltz, and I finally got one, and I loved it. And yeah, I won that day, whatever.
and now you've made it to the finals.
I won the night, so I'm in the grand final next
The
week.
grand final, everyone.
Is it next week, is it?
Yeah, it's on
On Sun-
Monday night.
oh.
So the Logies are on Sunday night and the grand final is on Monday night. But it's pretty cool. I sometimes forget I'm on it because it is like we recorded it months ago. So
Yeah.
I feel like we haven't really spoken about it much on the podcast, to be honest. But like it is happening, and I yeah, I don't want to brag, but I killed it last night. I did better than I thought.
You're amazing. All right, well, guys, that is it from us. If you have any questions for us, go and slide on into the DMs. If you have any accidentally unfiltered stories, also we want your fucking tragic dating stories. Like
Yeah.
what happened on your first date that was diabolical.
We'll
we
put
need to
that
know.
call out as well onto
We
Instagram.
we'll put it on socials, and you can watch it all on YouTube. You know the drill.
Tell your mum, tell your dad, tell your dog, tell your friends, and share the love because
We love love.